and welcome to round 8 of the European Women Chess Championship. This is the recap of my game where I played against Mariam Mkrtchyan from Armenia. She is very strong. I believe she's 18 years old currently, or she's about to turn 18. But why I'm recording this introduction is because after the tournament, she was playing in the World Youth Championships in the girls under 18 category, and she became the world champion. And not just champion, she defeated the whole field with a score of 11 out of 11. That's just insane. It rarely happens. I mean, you have typically a 9-round event and 11 rounds is like pretty tiring, but she won all her games in this event. So that makes me even happier that I was able to play her because she's very strong, and I hope you like the recap. Let's jump right into it. When I was preparing for her, I saw that she played pretty often in Title Tuesday, and she had some really great games, including a win over Bortnik. So when I saw that game, I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I mean, I looked at all her games. I mean, not all her games, but you know, a lot of games of her. And I was really impressed by her play. She plays really well. And it was hard to see what her weaknesses were. So I was going into the game like, we'll see what happens. I prepared some line that I had prepared for this other game against the Caracan against Zimina. It was pretty much the same preparation, but this time it was a bit different, and I'll show you what was different. So I played e4, c6, d4, d5. She almost always played the Caracan, so I was expecting this. e5, bishop f5, and here Olga played the move c5, which is another move to play, but my opponent plays bishop f5. I also prepared this, you know, I wasn't sure if Olga was going to play c5 or bishop f5, so I prepared against both lines. So I used the same prep pretty much for this game. So I played h4, the tile variation. h5, bishop g5, and queen b6. So this line can be really tricky because here I play bishop d3, and the engine is very displeased by this because the engine takes quite some time calculating this and evaluating this. And it's really tricky what black should do because there's some, you know, if you're not careful, you might get in trouble. So she took on d4. I saw one of her games in Title Tuesday. Don't worry, it was in the database. It didn't stalk her chess.com profile. I saw one of her games that also went like this. So I prepared this line as well. Knight f3 is the main move because if you take on f5, queen takes e5, and you have an actual problem. You'll have an actual problem because you have lost 2 pawns, you're gonna lose a bishop regardless, and you have no counterplay. So yeah, that's pretty bad. So that's why knight f3 is the top move. Queen g4 is the top move. Bishop takes, queen takes, c4. Now, here there's 2 moves. Queen e4 check is the main move because c4, it looks silly, but this is what I had prepared. Queen e4 check is a logical move because, hey, you're giving a check and you're threatening to take. Seems very natural to play. And there's e6. Now, e6 is the more solid move because I'll show you in a bit why. But basically, it's a more solid approach. You're not rushing anything. You're trying to develop your bishop at some point, and your pawn chain is really strong. It's really hard to counter this with white. And here I just had the idea of just simply developing knight c3, short castle, and stuff like that. Simply developing and have a, you know, I'm down a pawn, but I have a lot of compensation for it. As my pieces are well developed, this bishop on g5 can be pretty annoying. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting position for both sides. So she played the move queen e4 check, which I was happy about because, you know, maybe she's gonna take on c4. So I play bishop e3. This is still my prep. But here, something happened that I did not prepare. The move e6. I was like, huh? It's so logical. Like, part of me was like, I don't think she's going for this again. Because she played this once, it went horribly wrong. She might not go for this. So I didn't look that closely to this line. But my prep pretty much ended here. For some reason, I did not consider e6 here. I considered it a move ago, but here it's different because now if I play after e6, knight c3, then this pawn drops, queen takes c4. And the whole idea of this, basically, is that if she would have taken on c4, I play e6. And here's where the fun begins. Because now, if she takes here, which is, I mean, one of the main moves, look at all the weaknesses in black's position. e5 is weak. g5, oh, that's not g5. g5 is weak. Oh my god. e6 is weak. g6 is weak. f7 is weak. I mean, c5, maybe. Everything in black's position is weak. And black is up 3 pawns. But the engine is saying plus 0.4. That means white is doing fantastic. Because sooner or later, you'll drop your pawn on your knight to e5. Your queen goes from c2 to g6. And it's just party all over the place for white. But she played e6. And here I thought, where's my e6 move? I can't play it. What do I do now? Because after e6 right away, I played knight c3, remember? But if I play knight c3 here, I'm just losing the pawn for no reason. So I was here like, okay, because I did not consider this move, somehow I did not consider this move, I thought it's a terrible move. There is something in this position. So I start thinking, and I'm like, okay, what about queen b3? Queen b3. Looks good, right? Attacking b7. If she plays b6, I'm playing knight b2, and where is her play? I thought I was doing well here. Then she hit me with queen takes c4. First, she looked at me like, what are you doing? You know? And I was like, you know? And then I realized when she took, after queen takes b7, there's queen b4 check. Queen b4 check, and I regretted everything in my life. I regretted that I looked at this line once. I regretted this whole prep. I regretted even touching my laptop this day. I was so angry at myself. I could not believe that I missed this. I was just nearsighted pretty much, that I was so confident that e6 was wrong that I thought queen b3 is a good move. And when I was calculating this move, checking all sorts of new moves, I somehow did see bishop b4 check, which I, checked. But I didn't see queen b4 check. And it's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. And after this, it was endless of suffering. So let's have a look how the game continued after that. What's the issue with trading queens on b4? So yeah, let me explain that. So she played queen b4 check, and I traded. Bishop takes, knight b2. Now, you're down, how many pawns is it? Okay, white is down 1 pawn, and you have no compensation, nothing. You're the one defending. Your pawn on e5, extremely weak. Pawn on b2, always, it's exposed, to attacks like rook b8. That could be annoying. Soon c5 will happen, followed by d4, c4, all sorts of ideas. The knights can easily develop. And I think the biggest problem is your pawn on e5 is just so weak. So, yeah, I was not happy with this. And the worst part of all of this, so typically when you approach a position where one player has a decisive advantage, there is quite some time spent on the clock, right? We were in this position where neither of us spent more than 20 minutes or something. I don't know. We barely spent time. And I was so pissed. Like, it's the start of the game and you're already worse with the white pieces. Like, it couldn't get any worse. It feels like I blundered mate in 1. However, that would have been more satisfying because I would have been done with the game, because the game is just getting started and it's like endless of suffering because there's no way you're gonna come back from this. I mean, I tried. Let's see what happened. Knight d7, rook c1. I tried to create some weaknesses, attack the pawn on c6, and hope for a miracle. Knight e7, king e2. She played c5, which made me a bit happy because it looks like she's, playing in a bit of an impatient way. Knight b3. Here I baited the move c4 because it's a very obvious move. But what I try to do is that she allows me to get some counterplay. She let me play a3 here. I play a3. Bishop takes a3. B takes a3, C takes b3. Here I lost another pawn, which you might think like, why did you do that? That's so stupid. It is in a way stupid, but I thought if I'm not gonna do anything, I'll lose anyways. So here I can play rook c7, and this is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to get my rooks on the 7th rank because it's a really important rank, and try to create some counterplay because she can't castle. If she castles, she loses the knight on d7. So here she plays a5 because she wants to play a4, which is why I play a4. Here she played knight g6. She's attacking the pawn on e5 and trying to untangle this knight formation on the 7th rank, you know? So she could castle. Rook b1. She took on e5. Here I'm down 3 pawns, which is horrible. But you know what's funny? So here, in this moment, I spent a lot of time because it felt like a crucial point of the position. Her rooks are disconnected. She can't castle. I mean, in this position, if it's her move, she could. And I thought it's such a position that I have some tactics. But I really had a hard time calculating those tactics. And I obviously want to try to complicate things as much as possible. And here I was thinking all sorts of moves. I was thinking knight takes e5, knight g5. I also thought about not taking. What about rook takes b3? And yeah, all sorts of moves. And also after takes, I thought about either bishop d4 or bishop c5 first, because I don't want her to castle. But the reason why I didn't play this line is because I hated the move king d8. It's so annoying because after bishop d6, you face knight c4. And then you have a big problem because this knight is the worst. Soon b2 will happen, or yeah, actually just b2, yeah, just b2. And this rook will be able to get around somehow. e5 is around the corner and your bishop still needs to move, you know? So this is why I didn't play it. Apparently this is not as bad as it's, you know, being down 3 pawns and the evaluation is -1. I mean, I've seen worse. Rook b7. And I guess just slowly rook h6. Yeah, I didn't really like going into this because I'm down 3 pawns and I wanted to have something more concrete. I didn't like giving black some, you know, activity. I actually didn't like king c8 here. What happens after king c8? I just take? Oh, wow. How is this -0.2? Wait, other rook. Rook takes and... Wow. I mean, I did consider this. Unlucky. I mean, this is the reason basically why I didn't go for this. Maybe she wouldn't have played king c8. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, this looks interesting. I thought it's just dead loss because she'll be able to move her rook around and activate her pieces, but seems like things are different. Wow. It's pretty crazy. f4 is a threat. True. Yeah, I completely underestimated this, I guess. Like, I didn't like this for some reason. Like, I didn't like this whole king d8 move. And I couldn't really see something concrete here for myself. But I guess because of the activity, I'm doing fine. Yeah, like, I assume black is better. Black is up 2 pawns if I get the b3 pawn. And somehow she'll be able to develop her pieces. Somehow. And seeing how she played in the game, I think she would have. But, you know, I guess this was my best try. But yeah, for this reason, I didn't play this. Instead, I went for knight g5. And this is very, very not favored by the engine. But I thought maybe there's some chances here. Who knows? So I spent almost 40 minutes on this because, well, half of the time I'm pissed at myself. Because throughout the entire game, I was thinking, okay, typically this is really bad to do. Thinking about what went wrong, what you should have done, etc. It's really bad. But I thought, I'm losing anyways. It doesn't even matter. I'm just lost and I can not do anything about this. So half the time I was just sitting there like, what could I have done better? Like, why was queen b3? I mean, I know queen b3 is bad now, but was there something else? Like, what did I miss? And, you know, like half of the time I was just sitting there and just regretting anything I've done that day. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time on this, but, I mean, I was calculating, but I was also just pissed at myself. So, yeah, she played the move rook b8 here. And when I calculated this, I was really happy because I played bishop a7, and you have to go back. But she didn't go back. She went the Giga Chad move, king e7. And here I was like, what? That's a move? Like, I didn't even consider this. But it makes so much sense. She is sacrificing this rook on b8. If I take, rook takes, and you cannot stop any sort of b2, knight c4, knight a3. You can't stop it. You can't physically stop it. The only way you can stop it is that after knight c4 you take. But then you lose anyways because there's 2 passed pawns all of a sudden. So, I was shocked. Like, she spent a lot of time on this. And typically when you spend a lot of time, you make a dumb move, you know? Like, you make a mistake. But she spent her time well. And I was shocked. So I didn't take, obviously. I went for f4. Because I want to take on f7. Knight c4, knight takes f7. King takes, rook takes. I'm still not taking on b8 because, yeah, you just can't stop this idea of hers. King g6, bishop d4, rook hg8, king d3, b2, rook e7. So part of me hoped that somehow she would move this rook. And my only hope, so for example, like, I was a bit sad she played this, but for example, if here, then my plan was to take king here and g4. Oh, but apparently she has e5 here. So, like, I was calculating some ideas to try to create a miracle. I don't know. She played rook b3 check, bishop c3, rook c8, king c2, rook b6. I was surprised that she did not take here because I thought that's easy win. But she found a better way. Rook b6. She repeated moves here, which I was a bit surprised about because we were not in... I mean... I don't think she was in time trouble. I think I was low on time, like at 5 minutes. But couldn't be bothered about this. I'm dead lost. But I think she was doing fine on the clock, like 20 minutes or something. Rook cb8, and yeah, she's just preparing knight a3. That's it. What do you do? g4, my final hope. Knight a3 check, king d3, and then she took on c3. And here I called it quits. I resigned, and I was devastated. I mean, during the game, I processed all the emotions that I had, of anger, sadness, just crying inside, everything. I was so sad inside. So when I finished the game, I was just angry. I was so angry. I was so mad at the fact that I even prepped about, you know, this game. I'm still angry. I'm still angry. But less angry. But still angry. So, yeah. I was surprised actually that I finished after 6, because when this happened on the board, I was like, man, I'm gonna finish before 6. But we spent so much time on one move that we finished after 6. But yeah, I was so mad, so mad. If knight takes d1, it would have been made in 2. Yeah, true. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, she played perfectly, and you know, typically I would be very salty that I lost like this because it's my fault and I didn't give her a challenge. The fact that she played the move king e7, like, just take the point already. That's just insane to me. That she deserves to win this game. Typically, if it wasn't for that, I would be so salty and be like, yeah, it's my fault. I'm the one that threw. You know, she didn't do anything. She just took my pawns. But she played the move king e7, and that requires a lot of, you know, strength. That requires a lot. I didn't even notice this. I mean, I was really down and everything, but I could still calculate, you know. But I completely overlooked king e7. Like, it did not cross my mind once. So it was really impressive of her. Really, really impressive.